Just to confirm, your meeting is now live.
Thank you. Good morning and welcome to the Culture, Leisure, Economic Development Portfolio Decision Meeting, the first virtual meeting of the portfolio. I am Councillor Steve Pitt, Cabinet Member for Culture, Leisure and Economic Development, and I am the Chair of today's meeting. We are meeting virtually in response to the limitations placed on governance by the COVID-19 pandemic. Until recently, the law stated all members had to be present in the room to make formal decisions at meetings. However, the law was amended in response to the COVID-19 emergency and councils are able to hold public meetings virtually. This will be in accordance with local authorities' coronavirus flexibility of local authority meetings regulations 2020 number 392 in brackets the regulations. Members of the public are invited to view this meeting and there has been the opportunity for written representations to be submitted. Those present are requested to keep their microphones on mute and to only turn them on when they are called to speak. Members are requested to keep their cameras turned on at all times. Officers are requested to turn off their cameras and turn them on only when they are presenting their reports on or answering questions. If anyone would like to speak, please write your name and request to speak in the chat function. Please access the chat from the horizontal menu bar, which pops up when you hover over the screen, and not the one on to the left of the screen, please. Each time you speak, please say who you are so it is clear who is speaking. I will monitor the chat, assisted by Lisa, our Democratic Services support today, and will advise verbally in the meeting if someone has asked to speak but has not been called. If there are technical difficulties, we will endeavour to resolve these and where necessary have a brief adjournment, but the meeting can proceed where quorate. I will now explain the running order for the meeting. After apologies for absence from any members, the members will declare if they have any interests and then I will receive the reports. Okay, I'd like to invite those present to introduce themselves. I'll read your names out, starting with members first. Can you please reply by stating your name and saying that you are present? I will pause for a few seconds between calling each person. Those of you not able to confirm that they are present will be recorded as absent from the meeting, but I'll use a little bit of latitude on that if appropriate. Please can I ask everyone taking part today to confirm that they are present. Cabinet member now asks each councillor, so that's what I'm going to do. So Councillor Stephen Morgan, please confirm.
Councillor Stephen Morgan, present.
And Councillor Claire Udy, please.
Councillor Claire Udy, present.
Thank you both. Is Frank with us yet? No, for the purposes of the live stream, Councillor Frank Jonas is having a connectivity issue in joining the meeting, but may do so at some point in the near future, at which point we will introduce him. Okay. The officers who are in the meeting today are as follows. When I call your name, please just turn on your microphone to state that you are here and your name, please. Gina Perriman.
Gina Perriman, Access and Equality Advisor, present.
Thank you, Gina. Josie Dowling.
Josie Dowling, Business Development Manager, present.
Thanks, Joe. James Daly.
James Daly, Cultural Development and Projects Officer, present.
Thank you, James. Lindy Elliott.
Lindy Elliott, Libraries and Archives Manager, present.
Sue Page.
Sue Page, Finance Manager, present.
Dr. Jane Mee.
Jane Mee, Museums and Visitor Services Manager, present.
Thank you. Christine Taylor.
Christine Taylor, Curator of Natural History, present.
Thank you. Mark Pembleton.
Mark Pembleton, Economic Growth Manager, present.
And finally, our Democratic Services Support Officer today, Lisa Gallagher.
Lisa Gallagher, present.
Okay, thank you all. So there are no apologies, but that note read Councillor Jonas, who is still attempting to join the meeting. Lisa, keep an eye out for him and shout when he does, please. Thank you. Members, any declarations of interest? Councillor Morgan, any declarations?
I have none.
Thank you. And Councillor Udy, any declarations of interest?
No, not at all.
Okay, and for the record, I have no declarations of interest myself either. Okay, we're on to the reports now, and the first report that we're receiving today is item 3 on the agenda, which is the Portsmouth Coronavirus Memorial Trust, and I am going to James Daly to present the report, please.
Okay, thank you. The purpose of the report is to seek approval to establish the Portsmouth Coronavirus Memorial Trust as a new charitable incorporated organisation. We anticipate that the public will expect the city to mark the coronavirus pandemic, including people who very sadly passed away, but also the extraordinary efforts that we've seen in the city. Clearly, it's a situation that's affected everyone in some way, shape or form. We anticipate that the Trust would have community representation, including organisations such as Portsmouth Hospitals Trust. We would expect the Trust to consult widely with the public, because we know that memorials are an important part of remembrance, but also the healing process. So it's important that people in the city feel ownership of it. And also timing, I think it's important to state that we're clearly still in the middle of the situation at the moment. So the time for talking about details is probably much further on when we're coming towards the end of it. We consider that a community interest organisation would be the best structure for a community memorial, and such an organisation could also apply for funding in a way that a local authority cannot. As I stated, I think that there clearly are lots of options in terms of physical memorials or memorial activities, but those details are probably further down the line for the Trust to consider, along with public consultation.
Okay, thanks, James. Anything else you wanted to add, or is that you done?
No, that's fine for me.
Okay, fab. Councillors, any questions? Councillor Morgan, any questions for James or comments?
Just to say, support these recommendations, Steve.
Thank you very much. Councillor Guidi.
Just the same. I did email in ahead of the briefing that I couldn't attend. I can't even remember what I said now.
You said that you wanted to make sure the key workers were recognised as part of it, as I recall.
Yeah, that's it. Because obviously, a lot of people, especially in areas like Charles Dickens, a lot of people, key workers, care workers, retail workers, and they've been working throughout the pandemic. So it's not just about me. Like, cool, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is the important part of all of this, is not predetermining what it looks like, but making sure that we have a vehicle there that is able to meet the needs that the community tell us they want addressed as part of any memorial process going forward. So I'm happy to accept the recommendation that we proceed with setting up the CIO as indicated, and that the Director of Culture, Leisure and Regulatory Services, in consultation with our city solicitor, is delegated the authority to finalise the constitutional documents for that CIO. Thank you very much, James. Don't feel you have to stay for the rest of the meeting if you're not presenting again, by the way. I'm not expecting people to stick around if they've got other stuff that they need to be getting on with. Okay, so item 4 is the landing craft tank project update, and I'm going to ask Dr. Jane Mee, please, to present on this report.
Thank you, Councillor Pitt. This is an update on the landing craft tank project. Obviously, elements of the project are going really well, so people will have seen the canopy structure being built, and work on the ship itself is similarly going very well at the dockyard. The National Museum of the Royal Navy is responsible for fundraising. The fundraising target was 1.1 million. The National Museum of the Royal Navy have raised £700,000 so far. It's hard to raise the rest of the money when people can see that a lot of the work is progressing very positively and very well. So there is an issue around raising the last 280,000. And we also now have 1 or 2 problems around the project costs. Some of these are linked to COVID-19. Others are linked to costs which were higher than expected. So, for example, linked to the creation of the new car park entrance, the D-Day car park. As I say, the National Museum of the Royal Navy are the lead on the fundraising aspects, but we have offered to take the residue. There's a small residue of funding on our own Transforming the D-Day Museum project, which we have asked the lottery if we can make it available for the landing craft tank project. And subsequent to this report being prepared, the lottery have said yes, they are very happy to accommodate that. We also have a crowdfunding campaign that will start later on this month. So that they're concerning, but they are in hand. But there may be a possibility further down the line that the council may have to make a contribution to any shortfall, but we're not there yet, and my fingers are crossed. Just to point out as well that the pressures of COVID are likely to impact on the successful delivery of the LCT business plan for which the council is responsible. So I think they're the main points, Councillor Pitt, if that's okay.
Okay, thanks, Jane. And what was that? We'll see if members have got any questions. Councillor Morgan.
Support the recommendations, really keen just to be kind of kept abreast on how the support and funding goes, and if there's ways that we can help, do let us know, please.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Claire?
No, but I'm super excited for when this does open, so hopefully it'll be soon. Cool.
I still remember how excited you were at the planning committee when the canopy application went through. So just a couple of comments from me. Obviously, it's been a challenging time. Project costs were bound to escalate when work had to cease because hoardings and stuff, all that the stuff that enables things to happen, get paid for on hire, and therefore that cost continues to tick up when the work's not happening. But obviously, we had to suspend the operations in line with the government recommendations to enable safe distancing and stuff. So it's been a complicated and rather frustrating process. On the shortfall on the fundraising, the National Museum of the Royal Navy were in advanced conversations with a number of potential funders, which were just on the cusp at the point when lockdown then happened. And as Jane said, when the project gets then nearer completion and that mechanism's not back in place, it does make it harder, and that's part of a national picture that we're seeing around funding opportunities generally. So we caught up yesterday with the National Museum. We are very much a partnership. We are equally committed to making sure that we do everything we possibly can. They've got a green book case going into MOD, of which the landing craft is included, and they're hoping to get an answer very shortly on that. So we're both doing all we can to make sure that we've covered that gap. But in the event that we don't, we are a partnership, and we'll address that situation together and report back to members at that point as to what that situation actually looks like. So thank you very much, both of you. Claire, yes, yeah, you got a what? So Councillor Udy's departing for a second, for anyone just listening, but we'll wait for her to come back. Hello. And she's back. She's back in the room.
Sorry,
that's all right.
Door.
No worries.
Not here, so
It's unusual for all of us. So there are 5 recommendations listed. Because of the slightly unusual way we're doing this meeting, I'll just very quickly run through them. So I'd like to note the achievements of where we've got to date, and thank everyone for their contributions to the process, because it's been long but also very rewarding. We want to make sure that we recognise our partnership with the National Museum of the Royal Navy, that we are approving that request to the National Lottery Heritage Fund, which, as Jane said, now has actually been approved, so that's very welcome, and that the crowdfunding campaign will now go ahead. I think it's expected to start within the next couple of weeks, and we also note that there is uncertainty around the business plan, as there is for every visitor attraction in the UK, and that we'll have to adjust that according to what we're actually seeing once the landing craft's in place and open later in the year. So all 5 of those recommendations are noted and accepted. Thank you, Lisa, for the minutes. Which takes us to item 5. This is the Culture and Leisure response to the COVID-19 pandemic, March to June 2020. So it's an update report to say how Culture and Leisure has responded to date. And I believe that we are expecting Lindy to present on this one. Is that right, Lindy Elliott?
Thank you, Councillor Pitt. Basically, it's a response to what has happened during March, April, May, June. There had to be a cut-off point because you'll appreciate work is still ongoing. There's a huge breadth here. There's a huge scope. Initially, all the organisations were concerned with their shutdown. all about the safety of customers, the safety of staff, and the care of buildings. Then moving on to the next stage, which is very much about how we've engaged customers, how we've kept open spaces safe, how we've maintained those spaces, how we've been able to engage customers mainly digitally. And there's been a great diversity of new ways of doing this. And I've no doubt that many of those are just the start of processes that will continue and grow. But this report was really to capture that first part of COVID, how it was captured as well, how it will be recorded historically. I should mention the museum website that opened up at this time, the work done around the hot walls, the tourist industry, how it initially was telling people don't come to Portsmouth, and now growing that story differently. So this captures those few moments in time, and there'll no doubt be more in the future.
Thank you very much, Lindy. And I'll come back to you, but Councillor Morgan, any questions or comments?
Really helpful report. Thank you to officers for putting it together. I'm interested to understand the kind of broader impact on the department as a result of COVID-19, and specifically kind of implications for the business plan and the outcomes that we were expecting to achieve this year. I imagine that's a separate conversation, but could I just request that we have that sort of discussion at a future meeting?
Yeah, absolutely. And we are actually doing a sort of review of the whole service and looking at lessons learned, best practice that we can take forward. So that will be part of that, and probably late to end summer. Claire, comments, questions?
No questions, thank you, and I'm happy that the libraries are open again.
Okay. Just a few comments from me. I thought it was really important that we brought forward this report to capture the work of the service to date. Obviously, I'm in touch with them on a daily basis, and I'd see what's going on. A few things to comment, and that's the fact that members of the museum team became our community advisors, and we're out there supporting work across the seafront. There has been Claire Looney, for example, was directed over to be the sort of resources manager, getting the food operation for the Hive up and running. We've had the parks team working throughout the pandemic and getting a huge amount of support from members of the public for the fact they've been out there maintaining our open spaces. The work the libraries team did during shutdown to make sure that we could get those 3 libraries open as a spine through the city at the earliest possible stage. The fact that mobile libraries out there, all the ongoing planning that's happened to make sure the summer readings challenge is still going to happen, and that we're the first UK authority to make sure that every single primary age pupil has access to take part in the summer reading challenge, which is absolutely vital. The work that's been going on across the council in terms of getting computers out to children to enable them to have that digital access, as part of that government scheme, which in turn has given them access to the libraries provision. Every single member of Culture and Leisure and Regulatory Services, which doesn't sit with me but is a big part of what the Directorate does, has gone above and beyond during this process, and I really did feel it was important to capture that effort in a public report and say thank you very much to you all for everything you've done to date and that you will be doing ongoing, and we'll keep these update reports coming in because it's important for posterity to make sure that people's contribution to this process is properly marked. So thank you all for everything that's happened so far, and our very best wishes to every member of staff in the Directorate for your work going forward. Thank you very much. The report is duly noted. Thank you, Lindy. Then we have similarly the other bit of my portfolio is the economic development strand, and over to Mark Pembleton to present, please.
Thank you, Councillor Pitt. Again, a similar kind of report. The economic growth team completely transformed during this pandemic, so we immediately went into a kind of emergency setting and set up a business helpline almost immediately as the pandemic started to affect businesses locally. So that's the first part of the report. There's also a bit on all the work we've done in the partnership with the LEP, and then the crowdfunder Pay It Forward, which has been a very successful scheme running in Portsmouth through the economic growth team, something on the dispersal of business grants, and then something on the work we're now doing to come out of the crisis with Shaping Portsmouth's Future Together. bit about the future high streets bids that are due to go in on the 21st, and the market move, and then the enterprise centres, and something on skills, and something on the commercial tenant support programme. Now, I won't go through all of this because it's quite a long report, and it's really just if you've got questions. The only thing I'd probably just draw your attention to is a bit like Lindy was saying, obviously this was at a point in time. The helpline is still incredibly busy. We still have 10 people on it. The calls have changed. They change almost on a daily basis. We're currently very, very involved in looking at Palmerston Road South and involving the businesses and the residents in decision making around closing that to help the hospitality businesses. So suddenly that's become the big piece of work at the moment. Prior to that, of course, it was the discretionary grants. So far, just a bit of an update, we've had about 1,900 businesses and residents use the helpline from 7 till 7 every weekday. So it's been an amazing resource. And we've had countless thank you emails and so on saying that, you know, we've really helped people to keep businesses going. I really do think we've made a difference to trying to help businesses survive in the city. The second bit, as I say, is around the partnership work, which again, we've had a really strong partnership with the LEP through the task force that's been set up. So there's been a lot of sharing of best practice and making sure that we're all aligned across the Solent. I won't go into any more detail there. The crowdfunder, Pay It Forward, you'll just see a very good stat there to say that from what is in effect £20,000 or so of council funding, through the LEP has also set up its own scheme on the back of what we did, which is brilliant news. So you see in total about £200,000 has been raised that's gone to help businesses in Portsmouth. And then the dispersal of business grants. I mean, I think one of the most dramatic stats, and it needs a bit of updating from this report, is that we've now got cash into business bank accounts. We've actually helped 43% of all the businesses in the city to get some kind of grant into their bank account to help them to survive. So that's a total of 3,240 businesses, which I think is an amazing achievement. Then in terms of a bit on the shaping, I won't go into the depth there, but you'll see we're part of that partnership working up plans to get us out of the crisis. Just to update you on the future high streets bids, yes, they go in on the 21st of this month. Bid for 10,000 for Fratton, 10 million. Gosh, or 10,000.
Wouldn't go far, Mark.
Oh, it wouldn't go very far at all. 10 million for Fratton and 10 million for Commercial Road. So we're very, optimistic that we'll be successful there. And then just a bit on the enterprise centres, and really just draw your attention to the fact that we've really supported those businesses. Nearly all of them have got grants through the business rate grants, but equally, we've really helped a lot of them in terms of their rental periods. And during this terribly difficult time, we've had 5 new tenants move into Victory and 2 move into Portsmouth Enterprise Centre. So it's incredible that even during this difficult time, we're seeing interest from people wanting just small space and often downsizing from elsewhere. So actually the vitality of those small enterprise units is tremendous. Same with the skills work. Our employment learning and skills team, which is now part of economic growth, has also been working through the crisis. So even though really, working from home and so on, we've still managed to help 26 individuals gain work, 30 learners get maths and English, and obviously there's other stats down there. And this will become a huge part of the work, particularly in light of the Kickstarter job scheme that's coming through from DWP. We'll obviously have a key role in delivering that. Then just to say, in terms of the commercial tenant support scheme, that again, we've helped 45 tenants reschedule rental payments to the value of almost £850,000 in rent. So I will stop there. Obviously, the discretionary grant is in a later report, Councillor Pitt. Do you want me to say anything about it now, or do you want me to leave that till when we come to it?
Well, let's cover it separately, Mark, because it's
okay.
It's for clarity on the agenda. But thank you very much.
I'll finish there then.
Okay. Councillor Morgan, questions?
Very thorough report. Thank you to Mark and team. I don't have any particular questions other than to say I'm liaising with Tristan around a final stage of the lobbying for the High Streets Fund, so I'll do a letter of support for early next week.
Thank you.
Brilliant. That's great. Thank you very much indeed for that. Councillor Eady.
Well, thanks for the report. I was going to say the crowdfunding supported a friend's business at the time because a few businesses did slip through the cracks, especially around kind of events promotion and stuff. But thanks for that. And also, I hope to write a letter of support. I was asked as well. So hopefully, because Fratton's half in Charles Dickens, which people tend to forget. So thank you.
Yeah, brilliant. And I know you didn't read one out, Mark, but I've got a one of the emails that are just an example, and I'll keep it confidential, obviously, but just an example of the sort of thing that's come through. This was from a business that the economic development team have helped, and the person writing said, I hope you've had a positive start to the week so far. Excuse me for the out of the blue email, but I've just one objective here, to say thank you to you both for your efforts throughout this pandemic to aid us in gaining some financial support. As a small business, it can be tough to keep things going over smoothly, but your support and continuous belief has been truly amazing. Again, thank you both very much. I hope you and your families are keeping safe and well, and have a wonderful evening. And there's been dozens of those, and they're not. I think the important thing around this is that it's very easy to say thank you to somebody there and then in the moment when you've just received the money into your bank account. But what we're seeing is people getting the money, doing the bits they've got to do, and then reflecting on it and coming back and realising that the team's made a real difference. And actually, I think we also need to recognise that this has been quite stressful for members of that team as well, because I've often had to deal with people on the phone who are literally at their wits' end. They haven't felt that they could access support, and they've been very emotional and very distressed, and that team have worked really closely with them, and where they couldn't get them any direct financial help, have tried to be a sort of a bit of a support mechanism and just be there for people. And the number of responses we've had from somebody saying, I can't believe that I've dialed this number I've been given, and there's a living person on the end of the phone answering my questions, listening to my concerns, and just being there to support me. And from an emotional well-being perspective, I think that's really, really important. The team's gone above and beyond. People have pulled together. The responses have been fantastic. The work that Shaping's now leading on, and I really did feel it was important that it wasn't Portsmouth City Council doing to the sector. I lost my own business 12 years ago when we went through the big recession at the end of 2008 to 9. So I know that what happened then was an awful lot of people were having consultations and meetings and writing reports to tell businesses what the problem was. And that was great, but it told me what I already knew. And what we're trying to make sure we do here is we work with and listen to businesses so that the support packages we're putting in place are the right ones, the ones they need, and that they are a part of their own solution. So this is about businesses helping other businesses to stay stood up and survive, but also where it's inevitable that businesses will fail, that we still support them and help them to get going again and continue to be a contributor to the local economy, because if their businesses fail through no fault of their own, they shouldn't feel that they shouldn't try again, and we need to be supporting them to do that, because they're our local entrepreneurs. They're the people who are going to put the city's economy back on its feet. So the work that Mark and the team have done has been inspirational, and a huge thank you to you all. Report is duly noted. Okay, so number 7 on our list today is the Natural History Collection, because things have been going on during the crisis to progress that work. So we're over to Christine to present, please.
Hey, good morning. So my report is for information only, and it's a report on what basically the collectors and collectors within Portsmouth Natural History Collections. So a little bit of background. I've been working on the Wild About Portsmouth project, which is funded by the National Heritage Lottery Fund and is match funded by Portsmouth City Council. And the idea is to raise Portsmouth's natural history collections. Basically, the collections have been without a curator for over 10 years, but really we need to look back to around about the 1980s, when a lot of the stories were present, but they've got lost over time. So for the last couple of years, we've been doing a lot of work with front of house and with the public and with events and things like that. But the other thing is a lot of our collections are held in store, and they might not necessarily go on display because they're too fragile, or there's just lots and lots of them, and it's really difficult to display large collections of insects. So from the outset of the collection of the project, I've been really keen to upgrade all the documentation that we've been doing. prior to my appointment, and after it was done, that fitted with museum guidelines, but were really just an audit exercise. One of the great strengths about Portsmouth Natural History collections is the amount of data that's locked up in them. And so I was very keen, with the help of about 26 volunteers, to capture that data. But also, since lockdown, it's given me a really fantastic opportunity to upgrade a lot of the collection, so about 13,000 records to date, using old card indexes, accession registers, anything I can get my hands on to actually pump more data into our collections. And as a result of that, it's actually given us a really good snapshot of our collections the first time, and the attached report shows some of the sort of highlights I found to date. But it's more than actually us knowing about that. Having a collection with good data means that we can share that information with other organisations. So really important for planning resources, for recording centres, universities, and I've recently been getting very much involved with local universities so that they can actually start using our collections. But at the same time, that will actually give us access to expertise and equipment that we might not necessarily be able to use. So as I say, we've been working on that. I also have a curator, an assistant curator, who's a very keen entomologist, and he's been ploughing through our bee collection, so about 15,000 specimens there, and he's gradually putting that all together there. I have to say, the first time we actually thought we did a quick snapshot of some of our data, I sent them to the West Sussex Biological Recording Centre, and they were moth collections, and just the first 500 records I sent actually yielded some very exciting finds, some firsts for particular areas of the county. So there's a great deal of information in our collections, and actually that's one of the big strengths, I have to say. It really is a collection with a lot of data which can be used for any sort of biological records and environmental recording. So some of the highlights I found today is we have a very good mid-19th century collection of taxidermy, all with data, which is incredibly unusual in a local authority. You might find that in a national museum, but you don't often find that in a local authority museum. So that's been a really super eye-opener. I've also discovered some lost collections that are lost to myself, actually, because in a previous occupation, I was always asked about a particular Hampshire collector. So I've been looking for this one for about 15 years, which is the Palmer collection, and I've discovered it here. So there's lots of amazing sort of local collections within our own natural history collections. And the other thing I found surprising is when I first came, I thought it would just be mainly German which is the one we hold in trust, which is part of the Faulkner Regis collection. But actually, there are a lot of very local collectors to Portsmouth, and the insect collections, the shell collections, taxidermy collections. So it's actually been a really good sort of opportunity, especially during lockdown, to actually just plough through them. It's a real luxury of time for me to do that. You know, I haven't been had other day-to-day things I normally have to do. But what that's done is actually progressed our knowledge of our collections substantially. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Stephen, any questions?
Very thorough report, so very happy with it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Claire?
No questions, but honestly, it sounds amazing, don't you think? But it's just blows my mind that we've got that amount of knowledge in our archives and floating places in Portsmouth, and we're just a treasure trove of knowledge. It's just really lovely. Well,
thank you. It really is a treasure trove, and it's been, to my point of view, it's been a fantastic surprise discovering all of this, and I've enjoyed sharing it through social media and other organisations.
Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed for the update, Christine, and we look forward to another one in due course at the next stage in the process of bringing all that up to speed. And thank you very much for all that you're doing, and to your assistant as well. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so that report is noted. That takes us to number 8, which is the seafront accessibility, and that's Gina Perriman to present, please.
Hi, yeah, this was just to update you on the accessibility. I mean, as many of you know, it's not that accessible for people with limited mobility, mainly due to the issues of the shingle beach. And so, you know, at current, it's not possible. We haven't been able to put a permanent solution in. Officers have explored a number of options for consideration, including beach buggies, well, there's researching other good examples, inclusive beaches. And up to date, we haven't been able to identify again a fully accessible beach that has similar conditions to what we have. Although we have been in touch with Brighton and Hove, who, like us, do have steep shingle beaches. Brighton are continuing to trial a number of options but have not yet identified a solution. They're due to trial a new electric terrain wheelchair, which they sourced internationally, and hopefully we'll be able to have access to the results of this trial in the future. Officers have also been in contact with a number of specialist firms, even European countries, Greece, and also HOP, and trying to find a solution. But at the moment, with Discussion Brighton, they haven't been able to come up with a solution. We did have a suggestion from the petitioner to look at the existing ramp, which was opposite the entrance to the Exmoor Naval Marines Museum. But once we looked at that, the ramp is actually far too steep. It doesn't extend further enough into the sea or across the shingle. And actually, the ramp itself is further away than the matting that is already there. So, I mean, up until 2018, we just had one permanent maintained access on Eastney Beach, which was adjacent to the coffee cup. They had limited access provision, including extended secure matting linking to the concrete access ramp, with the matting running across the beach but not fully to the shoreline. That's the main issue, is actually people wanting to get to the beach, which we still haven't been able to come up with a solution. An additional track of disabled access matting was put adjacent to the Eastney Beach huts and was expanded in 2018 by about 40%. So lengthwise with a broader area for people as a turning circle. The beach at Eastney is relatively flat and the shingles is secured to some degree by the vegetation growing on the beach, which limits the movement of the shingle, making it slightly easier to maintain. However, the matting still requires sweeping, checking, repairing every week, plus cable tying every fortnight. We have looked for feedback, and according to the feedback, by face-to-face, by phone, the new matting is easier to use, and after the trial period, it's now made a permanent addition to the beach. So, in order to support this, there's the final elements and adjustments being put in are including we're putting in a drop curb, which will obviously improve the access. Disabled parking bay, because at the moment there isn't one there, so we're going to put that in. Obviously, improve signage and website information. Also, looking at the accessibility beach, we've been working with Portsmouth Shop Mobility in recent weeks, and we're looking to put a couple of scooters in along the seafront, which can be accessed through a pre-booking system. So we're hoping that in the summer there'll be lots of people that want to access the beach, get out and about. So people with mobility issues will be able to access the wheelchair scooters. So we're working with them at the moment to see how that will work. We think the best place would be they'll be based at the D-Day Museum. There's an area at the back. So we're looking to have them there. But, you know, we are continuing to learn from other schemes. But at the moment, because of the way our beach moves, we just haven't been able to come up with a permanent solution. But what we are doing is obviously you might have seen the article in the news about the floating beach wheelchairs. So because of that, we're actually going to meet up. Josie, Claire, and myself are going to meet up with the company down the seafront to have a look at them and see whether that could help with the solution. But you know, we've explored many options, but it's just so difficult because the shingle moves so much, and it's not an easy solution.
Thanks, Gina. Just before I go to members, Joe, you're on the call as well. Did you have anything you wanted to add around this?
No, not really. I think Gina covered it very well. But I do think that there's been a lot of work done before this period, and it's good that this report reflects that. And we're still listening to as many people as possible. The good thing that we have done is all the people that have complained over the years, we've contacted them and gone back to them and included them in the information about how we could shape and going forward, because I think that's really important, and they will have the experience. And we've met a lot of people down at the new access. It's not for everyone. It's for some people, independent wheelchair users. But as Gina said, most people want to see the sea. Some other people want to swim in it and be with their families. But most people want to see the sea. And I think that's the thing that we've got to get to. And we've got a great opportunity now with the sea defences, not just to look at viewing platforms and drop curbs, but to really think about how we can allow those families to enjoy the beach, all together. So for me, that would be a really great thing that we could do as a council, and we've got a great opportunity now, I think.
And can I just add, Councillor Pitt, that obviously you've arranged for 2 members of the Portsmouth Disabled Access Group to join the Stakeholder Advisory Group for the Coastal Defence Scheme, which will be really good, which I'll attend, and also I've asked Portsmouth Disability Forum, because I think with the sea coastal defences, it's a great opportunity to do something. It's our best opportunity, really, to be able to get anything done to make it more accessible.
So, yeah, and just to add to that, Gina, before I go to members, the Stakeholder Advisory Group met last night. One of those members was able to attend and did contribute quite a lot to the meeting, which was great, particularly around an opportunity to have a split-level prom around Southsea Castle, which is something that the cross-party group had already looked at. I really wanted to know what the Stakeholder Advisory Group thought of it. It was received very positively. That would give a really, really positive, good disabled access viewing platform to the sea around Southsea Castle. So that would be a big win, but it's not going to be enough. We need to do more. And Portsmouth Disability Forum, I spoke to them this week, and we're going to do a bespoke stakeholders group, particularly with bringing in people with learning difficulties, people with autism, to make sure that we're not just looking at access, but accessibility for people with a wide range of disabilities. So we will take that forward. Okay, Councillor Morgan.
Really thorough oral report and written report, so I don't have any comments. Thank you for your work on this.
Thanks, Stephen. Councillor Eady.
No questions, but thank you for taking the time to really be pushing this and looking into it, and hopefully that we'll find it. And I'm glad that I thought about Brighton, because about 2 years, I must have been about when I first became councillor, maybe about a year ago, when this subject did come up, and it was just like, I thought about Brighton. I was like, surely Brighton have done something, and finding out that they hadn't really done anything, and they're finding it hard as well. And I would look to them as champions probably more than anything with a shingle beach, isn't it, and a place of diversity and inclusion. But I'm really glad it's progressing at the moment, and something will happen soon.
Okay, thank you both very much indeed, and thank you for that update report on that.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So that's item 9 on the agenda. It's our final item, and it's back to Mark to talk about the discretionary business grant. It's really just noting that the Section 58 happened, but Mark is obviously with us, and if anyone had any questions about the grant itself or where we're at with it, I'm sure he'd welcome those. Mark?
Yeah, just a quick update. It went through the emergency procedures, as you say, because we had to do, because government gave us that money and we wanted to get it out the door very quickly. And secondly, obviously, there was a huge demand because it was to hit people that had fallen through the cracks in terms of the business rate grants. So to date, we've got about £1 million out the door to 200 businesses. That's out of the 1.9 million. We had about 380 applications. We only did a 2-week window, which I think was a really good idea to get people to come to us very, very quickly. Obviously, with the helpline, we've helped a lot of businesses. We even helped them do their applications online and everything, because some of them find it really, really difficult. And getting enough audit evidence has been tricky, but we've done it, and we've worked with finance, and our finance colleagues have been superb in really, being very flexible and trying to help businesses to still get the money. So there will be another round because there will be some money left over. So that's also a positive, because we've realised that some businesses have still missed out. So we're going to have another go at mopping up ones that still haven't had any help. So that's another positive feature. So hopefully either next week or the week after, we should be launching another round of it. So that was just a quick update, Steve.
Thank you very much, Mark. Councillor Morgan.
Just to say that I'm continuing to lobby government over local discretion on underspend, so I will continue to do that and know what value that would bring the city.
Yeah, and that's hugely appreciated. Thank you. Claire?
No questions, but thank you.
Okay. Thank you then, everyone. Thanks for joining today and for making this not an unpleasurable experience, because it's a bit different doing things like this when we're all used to sitting in a room. The all members briefing starts in 10 minutes, so we've finished in time, so thank you all for your support in that effort. Take care of yourselves, look after yourselves and your families, and I'll see you all soon. All the best, everyone.
Thanks, Councillor Pitt. I'm just asking Peter to stop the live stream. Thank you.
Thank you.